Hello, welcome back to Wendy's Way. In our journey in food today, we're going to knock out another chore, an indoor chore that I enjoy doing while it's rainy outside. I pressure can. I pressure can so many things, and it saves us money and it saves us time. If you can pressure can meat, potatoes, vegetables, and today I'm going to can some dry beans. You have fast food. When you need it, you can pull the food off the counter in the pantry. Even if you have a power outage, I hate to sound like a prepsteader or a doomsdayer, but if you have no way of cooking and, you need to eat, you can pull a jar of food off the counter in your pantry and just open it up and stick a fork in it, or combine them together. Anyway, today's video I may have done in the past, but I'm gonna try at least one new flavor combination that I haven't shown you before. I'm gonna be canning dry pinto beans. Like I've said in the past, I don't know how many people anymore really cook with dry beans. It's a fast-paced society. Everybody wants instant gratification. You'll know that if you look at advertisements and even look at YouTube videos and how much time is spent making things in an instant pot. Nobody wants to take time anymore. So my version of instant gratification is taking the dry beans and pressure canning them, and then whenever I want beans, I flavor them as chili beans. Today I'm going to do some kind of an old-fashioned baked bean. I'm also going to put some butter, brown sugar, and possibly even some onions in with the batch, and I can let you know how that turns out because that'll be new for me. So anytime I want something quick and easy, instead of going to the store and buying beans in a can already cooked, or waiting and soaking and cooking, and I'm going to have it done and I'm going to have it on my counter, and it's going to be just for the cost of the jars that you can reuse over and over, because these are all but free. To us, they're free. I have cases of them that come to a neighborhood food bank and people just won't take them because they don't cook them. So I'm going to put a bunch of food on my pantry shelf again. Give me a second and I'll show you my progress as I move along. All right, the next step, I got out my canner just to remind myself how many jars will fit. And it depends in my canner whether I'm using a wide mouth or a small mouth jar. And even, with the quarts, a wide mouth or small mouth, I can fit an extra small mouth on each level over a wide mouth. And with the small mouth pints, 1 to 2 more. I actually fit 10 small mouth pint jars on the bottom level of my canner today. So since we're doing beans and they're easy to get out no matter what the size of the mouth of the jar, and we've only been using about a half a quart at a time, because we've been eating them individually rather than throwing them into recipes, I'm going to get the most bang for my buck on today's canning chore by canning 20 smallmouth pint jars. And I don't store them face up. I store them face down, but I brought them out still in the boxes and turned them over so that I could remind myself by keeping them separate that one side is going to be chili beans and the other side are going to be baked beans. And no matter which style, everything gets salt. When I pressure can, it doesn't matter if it's a meat or a vegetable, everything gets salt. This is pink Himalayan salt that I buy in bulk. And It's just less processed, has more nutrients than your average iodized table salt. In a pint jar, I put half a tablespoon. And I know how many jars will fit in my canner. I know how many beans I have that I'll be easily able to fill these jars and more with the beans I have. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all the salt and the seasonings on the bottom. When I have like a limited amount of ingredients and I'm not exactly sure how many jars I'm going to be able to fill until I actually get the ingredients in there, I will wait and put the salt and or the seasonings on top of the contents of the jar. But this is not the case, and so it'll have even more of a chance to cook up through the beans as they're pressure canning. All right, so this side I've decided are going to be my chili beans, and along with the salt then I am going to put in a tablespoon of honey sriracha seasoning. This is something I believe you can find at Walmart. I know that I've purchased it at Sam's Club. It is a McCormick. I thought maybe it was Members Mark. It looks like McCormick. And obviously it's not a sponsored advertisement. This is something that we use, and we use often. It's very flavorful. I put it in with these pinto beans when they're canning, and to me it makes them taste like chili beans, especially when I put in some salt. And today I'm going to put in a little bit of minced onion as well into my chili beans, and possibly into my baked beans if I have enough, which I doubt that I will, but we'll start it off in the chili beans. So full tablespoon, rounded even, of the honey sriracha seasoning, because this is good stuff. Really, you know, I mean, it's not homemade. I don't know all that's in it. You know, I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to that. I don't like preservatives, but, you know, if this is all that I'm putting into these jars that's a little unidentified, then I'm not stressing it. Okay. We'll see how far these minced onions are going to go. I do wish I had more, you know, and these are just a dry minced onion. I thought about putting fresh onion in, but then I thought, no, they just have too much moisture. You know, these being dried, I think it'll just work a lot better. So I'm going to put a shy half teaspoon in each one just to make sure I can get through at least 10, maybe more, because I think minced onions will be good in baked beans as well as chili beans. And imagine, you know, really the only cost of this is the cost of the jar, the lids and the rings. The jars and the rings you can reuse. I am going to put it now in my baked beans as well, because I do have enough. The jars and the rings you can reuse. And remember, when you gift things that are canned, remind, ooh, we're not going to get all the way there. We'll get most of the way there. Remind friends that you gift canned goods to that you always will appreciate getting your jars back. Some people, you know, who don't can, don't understand. They really don't. Yeah, we'll have one that doesn't have much onion. That'll be all right. Okay, into the recycle bin we go. Now we have our chili bean jars fully seasoned. That's all I'm going to put into those. These are going to be baked beans. And I like my baked beans a bit sweet and nummy. I like fat content in my baked beans. I know we used to live in Texas and we lived in Southern California, and a lot of lard goes into some refried beans. This is some powdered butter that I have had in my pantry, for a very long time, and I don't use it much anymore, but I am going to use it in my baked beans. I'm going to put a teaspoon of powdered butter in with my baked beans, along with the salt and the onions. That ought to give it a little good flavor, huh? I love me some butter. And this is natural butter, I believe. If it's not, I'll look it up and I will put it in the comments. Okay. So we have salt, onions, butter, and one more thing that's going to go into these baked beans. And you know it. It's brown sugar. A heaping teaspoon. I have my tea kettle on the cooktop, and after I get my beans in the jars, my tea kettle comes to a boil, and I will be topping the beans with boiling water, cleaning the jars, sealing them up, and putting them in the pressure canner. Okay, I don't think I need a funnel for this operation. We'll see if I can make a mess. 1/2 cup dry pinto beans per pint jar. Oops. Yeah, the finger funnel just didn't work quite as well. I have a feeling my others are in the dishwasher, but we're going to give it a peek. It would appear so. All right, we'll use a finger funnel. Finger funnels work. I just have to be more careful. Okay, 1/2 jar. And you may say, oh my goodness, did she rinse those beans? I have to say, I've been canning this particular brand or case of beans for, I've done several batches. And every other time, I put them in a colander in the sink, and there was nothing. No stones, no stems, nothing. So I'm being lazy this time, and I'm going to assume, you know what that does to us all, that these beans are clean, and I'm going to can them that way. These jars are not going to be for sale, and likely not even gifted. If they are gifted, it'll be to family, and they can harass me if they find something in the beans. All right, I'm gonna finish filling these jars. I'll put boiling water over them. May even stir them up to get the bubbles out, and then we'll throw them in the canner. And I'll be back later to show you my progress. Okay, I put 1/2 cup beans in the first 10 jars, along with the honey sriracha seasoning and the minced onions and the salt. I poured hot water over them up to the rim. I don't want to grab one because they're really hot. And as you can see, the honey sriracha seasoning turned them a rather reddish brown. And the water I took up to, it wasn't up to the top rim, it was up to the lip that is about 3/4 of an inch down from the top of the jar. I put flats and rings on them, finger tight. And now for the second layer, I put on this tray. It came with my canner, and now I'm going to put on the 10 jars, which are baked beans. I'm filling them over here. They have salt, butter, minced onion, and brown sugar. And I'll get them in. I will get the canner closed and get set on my process, and I'll be back later. All right, as you can see and probably hear, I have just pulled the beans from the canner. I took them up to pressure, which is 11 pounds on my canner. I put in 1 gallon of water, which is the appropriate amount of my canner, and a splash of white vinegar to keep the jars from clouding up. Once I reached the 11 pounds of pressure, set the timer for 30 minutes. And as you can see, these now are the beans that I'm calling baked beans. They're still going to boil for quite a while. They have salt, brown sugar, minced onion, powdered butter. And I'm anxious to see how they taste. These are the ones that I will mark as chili beans. And they're still going to be bubbling and boiling and cooking for a while as well. They do. They just simply bubble for a long, long time after you take them out of the canner. So I have 10 of each. As you may have heard while I was recording this, they are progressively sealing. One thing that I shared with my brother-in-law while they were here last week was that when pressure canning, I have yet to have a jar fail to seal. Even though I do not heat the lids in the flats anymore, as used to be the custom. I hope you heard that. That is a canner's delight, that little tink sound you just heard. Because you can see these still have a little bump in the middle, have a dimple, and there it goes again, have a dimple in the middle. And when they successfully seal, that little dimple turns into an indentation. As you can see, hopefully on camera, the difference between these two jars in front. The one on the right has not yet sealed. The one on the left already has. You can see as I pass by the light, it's now an indentation. The one on the right is not. In the second row, both of them have sealed. They're both an indentation. As in the third row, fourth row, and fifth, I think. These were all on the bottom. So there's only one of those yet to seal, and I'm sure this top layer will start sealing here very shortly as well. But they're all still cooking for quite some time. Anyway, tell you what, canning beans is just that simple. I used approximately a half cup more, maybe a cup more than 2 bags. I opened a third bag. Oh, there goes. Middle and the back. We heard it seal, folks. It's live. It's Canner's Delight. Anyway, if you can get some dry beans for a very small price, if anyone you know, or if you have jars that are made for pressure canning, you know, they're going to have the words on the outside. It's going to say Cur or Ball, or I'm sure there are other brand names. You know, I wouldn't reuse a jelly jar or anything like that. I'm not confident enough that they're strong enough to withstand the time, the heat, and the pressure of a canner. But you can prepare this much food. I don't know what a can of chili beans cost in the store, but I now have 10 of them going into my pantry for almost nothing. And 10 baked beans for almost nothing. So, there you have it. I thank you so much for joining me here at Wendy's Way. May the good Lord who blesses me each and every day of my life bless you as well, today and always. Amen.